I was told you have to vote for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden because of judges. I was told that by the people at the Young Turks. So I had to vote for, and they gave it to me. I remember my friend Ben Mankiewicz giving me a dressing down about the judges that Trump was going to be appointing. What they didn't see at the Young Turks is that the Democrats were going to be fast-tracking all of Donald Trump's judges, which is what they did. They fast-tracked his judges, and they did nothing to try to block his appointments. Nothing. So that was bullshit that you had to vote for Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden because of judges. And here's another example of that. Joe Biden nominates 3 new judges to the D.C. courts. Oh, really? What kind of judges are they? The president nominated Vijay Shankar. Ooh, God, you got to get some cream for that. Vijay Shankar to the D.C. Court of Appeals. Shankar is the deputy chief of the appellate section in the criminal division of the Justice Department, where he's worked for since 2005. Okay, hold on. Biden also nominated 2 prosecutors, Laura Crane and Veronica Sanchez, from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the district to serve as judges in D.C.'s Superior Court. Okay, hold on. So this guy's a civil rights guy. We've featured him on our show before. This guy knows his stuff. And so he did a thread, and it started out with this. It says, a quiet scandal is happening in D.C. Joe Biden has nominated 3 brutal prosecutors as judges for local D.C. courts, including the same prosecutor Trump tried and failed to nominate to the highest court in D.C. What? If Congress allows this, it's a disaster for the people in D.C. Congress is going to allow this. Joe Biden better than Donald Trump when it comes to judges?
Well, I guess at getting Trump's judges, he's better at.
Yeah, because Trump couldn't get that judge in, but now Biden's going to do it for him.
There you go. Bringing people together.
Isn't that nice? He is reaching across the aisle. So, Alec, I can't say his name, Karakatsansis is the founder and executive director of Civil Rights Corps. Before founding Civil Rights Corps, Alec was a civil rights lawyer and public defender with the Special Litigation Division of the Public Defender Service for the District of Columbia. So that's why he knows about this. A federal public defender in Alabama representing impoverished people accused of federal crimes, and co-founder of the nonprofit organization Equal Justice Under Law. Most recently, he's the author of the book Usual Cruelty. We should read that.
That's a good title.
Yeah. So he said each of Biden's nominees chose to devote their professional careers to anti-science human caging. Anti-science human caging policies that are unprecedented in history. That choice to use power and privilege to crush poor people was what made the highest ranking one appealing to Donald Trump. I litigated for years against the office from which Biden selected the other 2 of these nominees. We proved rampant prosecutor misconduct, lying, sweeping ethics violations under the rug, complicity with cop violence. Where have these nominees spoken publicly against this? I'm going to guess nowhere. Each of those nominees chose to work for years in an office that is responsible for D.C. caging black people at a rate 19 times that of white people, and almost exclusively poor people. These are the people Joe Biden is putting on the courts. Our courts are stacked with former prosecutors. They are stacked with people who, knowing the scientific consensus of evidence against human caging, still chose to devote their careers to ruthlessly crushing almost poor families without a shred of evidence it did any good. You know, we lock up more people in the United States than China.
Yeah, we're number one.
We're number one. We're the world's largest penal institution, the land of the free. And who do we lock up? Poor people. Poor black and brown people. People like this make us less safe. In addition to meeting those judges, in addition to increasing crime, incarceration also kills us all. Mass incarceration policies reduced overall life expectancy of every American by 2 years. Wow. Wow. So, a fact that should change how you see the world. The United States cages so many people in such bad conditions that the average life expectancy for all Americans is 2 years lower than it would be if the U.S. caged people like other countries. Hundreds of millions of life years lost. Wow. These prosecutors could have taken almost any job. They could have chosen not to separate children, but they chose power. They chose to help police brutalize people when communities needed investment in care. And if Democrats don't stop it, they could be made judges. It's typically not seen as acceptable to speak these truths about the senseless damage prosecutors have done in the era of mass incarceration. But the consequences for people's bodies, minds, and families are profound. Bahara, like all of us, knew that the people he chose to cage were significantly likely to be physically and sexually assaulted, receive inadequate medical care, and be tortured in solitary confinement. For years, he oversaw all of the things, large and small, that federal prosecution entails in our society, pursuing mandatory minimum sentencing to coerce guilty pleas, working with police with long histories of abuse and constitutional violations, covering up police lying, rejecting science and forensic evidence, placing metal restraints on criminal defendants and immigrants in court so that they cannot hug their families, threatening people with longer imprisonment unless they give up their right to a jury trial, imposing pretrial detention in dangerous and grotesque conditions, creating racial disparities, separating children from their parents without evidence that it benefits anyone, and displaying massive disregard for the crimes of elites. Biden reportedly plans to appoint anti-abortion Kentucky judge to a lifetime seat. You got to vote for Joe Biden because of judges. You're such fucking chumps. You always have been chumps, and you're willing chumps.
Go ahead. Biden reportedly made a deal with Mitch McConnell to screw over pregnant people less than a week after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Biden reportedly made a deal with Mitch McConnell to screw over pregnant people less than a week after Roe versus Wade was overturned. You got to vote blue, baby. So you feel like a good person even though you're voting in evil. And Joe Biden is evil. He's got way more blood on his hands than Donald Trump. Way more.
I bet you this writer will vote Joe Biden.
Yep.
Even though she's sensitive enough to use the term pregnant people, she'll still vote Joe Biden. Pregnant
I didn't
people.
notice. She used
That's what I was laughing about.
She used the term, I didn't even notice that. Well, good for her. What I said was Joe Biden is the cure for Trump the same way sugar cures diabetes. Democrat voters are straight up delusional chumps of the highest order. They're sure the Washington Generals are going to win next time for sure. Absolute chumps on purpose who love their oppressors.
Yeah, I follow them on Instagram and what have you.
Follow who love your oppressors?
I follow all my favorite oppressors on Twitter. I just follow their social medias.
God damn it. And people literally told you to vote for Joe Biden because it was Chomsky. Chomsky said it was the moral thing to do. What a moron he can be sometimes. God, he could be dumber than me. He's way smarter than me, but on purpose, he decides to be dumber. Jesus Christ.
He's a great linguist.
You gotta vote for Joe Biden if you're moral. That is such bullshit. Voting for Joe Biden delays progress. Voting for Joe Biden is voting for a right-wing, warmongering enemy of the people who likes to cage black and brown people. That's who Joe Biden is. And don't fucking kid yourself. Don't kid yourself that you did the right thing to vote for Joe Biden, because you fucking didn't. You voted for evil, and it wasn't a lesser. It was the greater evil. Just like Bill Clinton was the greater evil than Bob Dole and George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Clinton was the greater evil because those guys couldn't do the things that Bill Clinton did. George Herbert Walker Bush could not get NAFTA passed. Guess who did? Bill Clinton. George Herbert Walker Bush could not decimate welfare. Guess who did? Bill Clinton. Bob Dole could not have deregulated Wall Street that would crash our economy within 10 years and hurt who the worst? Black and brown people. You know who did that? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton exploded the prison population. You know who couldn't do that? George Herbert Walker Bush. Bill Clinton did that. Put 100,000 cops on the street with draconian laws for drugs and filled our prisons with black and brown people. So Joe Biden was not the lesser of two evils. Just like Bill Clinton was not the lesser of two evils. Do you think they would let Donald Trump start saber rattling with two nuclear powers, China and Russia? You don't think people would be afraid? They would be. But nobody's afraid because they think Joe Biden's the grown-up. Joe Biden is demented, and he's been a warmonger his whole life, and they've been lying to you about everything since they got in office. They're lying about everything.
Jimmy, these people got upset when Trump didn't saber rattle.
That's right.
The times when he didn't, they were like, what?
You're like, why won't Trump bomb Syria more?
I remember Fareed Zakaria, whenever Trump did, I can't remember who he bombed, but today he is a president.
He became president today because he bombed Syria.
That is how you become the president.
That is. Come see our stand-up comedy. We'll be in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, Indianapolis, Louisville, Cincinnati, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Detroit, lots more. Go to JimmyDoreComedy.com for a link for all our tickets.